This is another day in the land of crypto, and right now we have a ton more FUD coming into the market. Now we'll have to clearly redefine whether this is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or something with a lot of fact, right? So the question and the narrative here is like, okay, what is the main macro mass media giving us? So usually the narrative which they give go against it. Usually that does not happen. So the way they are actually giving you this idea here is that FTX is down, fine, and that's making Binance a dominant one. Agreed. That's what happens. So imagine, you have Apple, you have Samsung doing all these mobile phones, and one of them drops down. Automatically, the other one will gain the edge. That's how the market works. That's the market system. But the narrative inside this is FTX should have dropped. The way they dealt that company, that's how things go. But on the other hand, inside this era, you also see a lot of fear, right? When you are looking at things particularly like this, if for example, there is being questions asked and Elon Musk is actually responding saying, right now people do not trust future. They think there is nothing positive. But right now it does not actually look so. Even, this, say for example, in my thought process, I'm like, okay, yes, what is being asked by Stuart does make sense as a human being. But first question, okay, is he a debt holder? Is he a venture investor who is giving debt, guaranteed debt to a company? If so, then when a company goes bankrupt, they file for bankruptcy. Whatever goes first goes to the debt holders. Now that's how the things or the institution laws are built. Shareholders get anything after, if there is something balanced, after what the actual debt holders get. That's how the bond system get, because they are taking in lower risk, whereas shareholders are taking in higher risk. So automatically the risk adjusted return is going to be in that way, and that's how the system is built. Confusion of understanding how the system works is going to be really annoying. But one of the primary factor to look at right now is Bitcoin breaking this to the downside at a time when the dollar is breaking up. So what can we expect from this? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, there is a lot of uncertainty in the market. The fear for Binance and that going bankrupt is kind of visible in the market. Like, investors are a little bit worried. Now, understand that will always happen. If you look at this chart, we've been talking about this from at least 7 to 10 days, saying, okay, this one showed you a falling wedge, and falling wedges usually break to the upside. Look at the RSI. It already gave you the signal. It's breaking to the upside. Now the price is following that. So you may go up, you may come back down to retest, or you may make a bull flag and then break to the upside, because that's how usually the dollar market actually works. If you look at this one, you go up, you test this, you break to the upside, then you come back down to retest that range. Make sure that it is a strong support or buyers are entering at that level, and then it makes a bottom and then move back up. Again, it reaches the highs, slows down there, break that to the upside, then come back down, test that one and go higher. So you will see all these wick lower and all these macro movements, but this is dollar. So what can you actually expect this to do after this point, right? This is actually clearly indicative of the market, because this is a trend line. You broke that to the downside. Now you're going back for a retest. So if the retest actually happens to fail at this range, that means sellers are getting super exhausted. They cannot actually push the price. And buyers are like, okay, I'm taking this at this level. I don't think it's going to go to this level. So that does actually make sense. Because if the price is going to get rejected here, that does have a historical level and it may come back down. So that can be a continuation pattern. Now, what does this mean for the crypto market? Go on, look at the crypto market and ask the same question like, okay, I'm getting a pattern here that is breaking to the downside. On the macro, I think there is some room, but the question is, what's your time horizon? Because if it's too short, it's going to be really hard and painful, because the market is going to be really bad. At least as of now, when you look at the market is saying, there is a lot of uncertainty, and markets never like uncertainty. On the other end, understand the federal bank or the central banks are hiking the rates, asset prices are starting to drop, or most of them reaching a bottom. Now, I think there's a lot of background noise and disturbance here from the kids. Today is my boy's baptism, so there is like all the cousins, all those stuffs going on beyond this one. So just neglect that for this one. Sorry. Now again, going back to the matter. Once we understand that the price has been trending lower, but right now is in a form where it actually shows you this pattern, I'm actually a little bit positive, because we just saw a similar pattern here in the dollar market. And what happens? Dollar decides to break to the upside. Now, it did not happen the first time, the second time, the third time, fourth time, even the fourth time it was rejected. It's the fifth attempt where this one is breaking to the upside. Now we go look at the dollar, and then you're coming back into Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually shows you like the first try. Then this can be maybe the second one, but it's a U-turn. No, most likely this. So you got the second and third. So you still have room to get 4 or 5 if you're following similar structure. But basic sense, you're making same pattern, and these are two macro asset class in the world. It is going to survive, because people here do not actually think this asset is going to zero. Because if you say like this asset is going to zero, like the gold bucks usually say, okay, then right now the price should not be here. It should be around 1,000. Because if that's true, then you should have taken your low here out, the low you put in here out. But right now, you look at this support range, it is strong. People believe that there is something happening inside these. So it's clear from the market that the market actually perceive this as a support level, or in other words, it's a long-term entry point. If I buy now, maybe in a year, 2, 3, I will be rewarded. A lot of people who entered at the top now has that hardship that it's been 2 years, the market is going down. 100% agreed. It really is a pain. But if we zoom out and actually look at this, we will actually say, okay, this is a phase where we've been going to the side and to the downside. We had similar phases before where we were trending to the downside. We had similar phases before where we trend to the downside. So even inside one cycle, you will see all these happening for sure. So it's like the way you improvise inside this market cycle, because the market is going to play out. Now, the issue here is when you invest, you are thinking about yourself. Fine, we are all human beings, so we know our psychology, our emotion, and we anticipate this is what the market think, and let me get positioned about that. Fine, but what happens in the market is like, similar to you, me, and others, there are like, millions of other people who are doing this, and now it actually comes to what the majority does in terms of money, not the number of people, in terms of total capital. And that goes into the action. So for me, that clearly shows the strength of the capital. If the capital allocated in the market is showing you a trend, I've been slowly going down, but at the same time, I've also been trying to break to the upside. Right now, we have not done that, which is like, we are still waiting there on the conservative side. Because if you are on a bullish narrative side, you're like, okay, this is at the verge of a breakout. But I would say, okay, it's also at a resistance. So having a little bit of patience always serves well. Because the price, as we discussed from these time, it's a weekly chart, right? Each candle is a week. That does mean we need a ton of patience. And believe me, it's a lot harder to practically implement that level of patience than when we talk about it. I know this. I've been in the market for a long time, and I'm like, okay, last cycle, the 2017 market cycle was really great because I happened to enter when the market started the bull phase after all these consolidation. Whereas after that, you go through the bull market, then you go through the bear market, then you go through the consolidative phase, then you are going through the next bull market, which is, the macro bullish pattern, which has a lot of institutional investors in, which means the level of manipulation is going to be sky high. the level of time horizon you need is going to be way lower than what you initially anticipated. If you thought 6 months or a year or two, now it can most likely be 2.5 to 3. Now, why is that? Because if you're not hunting for the actual top and you're happy with the 5, 10, 15, 20x, most likely you are going to absorb that. Because say now, if you happen to break this to the downside, okay, the negative, the worst case, what is the worst case scenario? It's like a 30% to the downside. Fine. So at this moment, you're first asking the question here that, say, for example, you break to the downside like this, A, B, and C. So the market actually showed you a ABC pattern. Now, the next question you should ask yourself is, are we going to make another ABC? Because as of now, it does not look like an ABC pattern. It does show you like a continuation pattern to the downside. I agree on that. And we need a break to the upside to validate it as going the other way. But fact as facts, this is what the chart actually suggests. I'm going to the downside. I have a support at the bottom. If I bounce, now I'm looking to check what the resistance look like. So you plot on this one, and now you can actually connect all these small dots here. The reason I'm connecting the longer time horizon, because I'm using a 3-day chart and I'm trying to look for market participants, what they are doing, right? At least get an idea of what these majority money holders, not the numbers, capital holders are doing. When the RSI is coming close to that 60 level, they are dumping. Fine. But right now we are going back to that support. We have not changed the market scenario. And now, if you actually draw that line again here, which is going to be your support range, and then zoom out and extend this, we also tend to actually get a structure where it shows it was a resistance before, but right now I broke above that and I'm standing above that, which is actually a great thing for me. Then I'm trying to put that into the price action to see whether that's true. And I'm like, okay, that literally is a huge possibility. We broke higher, we are still trending here. And this does mean you need patience to see where this one goes. Now, what's the danger point here? That's where we are going. Say, for example, if this is your horizontal support level and you're breaking to the downside, your first major support is here. Even though your measured move was close to say 33%, most likely the price is going to get supported by 25%. Again, this is the average price fluctuation in the altcoin market as a possibility if we break to the downside. If we bounce back up, we have seen a lot of these wicks which did not erase your portfolio. You still have your assets intact. Not FTT, not Luna, not Celsius. Great. Your assets, strong fundamental assets. So these are going to still stay in your wallet, in your ledger. Then it may bounce back. So if you get a confirmation this is breaking, now that's going to be painful for me, you, and anyone in the market saying, okay, the average fluctuation is going to be 25% to the downside. Some of them may do 30, 40, 50. Some of them 90%. If there is no fundamentals, there is no project involved, there is no developer action, done. But if you think your project is strong, say, I definitely believe what I know about this particular asset where the adoption is actually going sky high. We showed this and talked about this yesterday. This is not that old. But if you actually look at the way it is expanding, I'm really happy to be in such an asset. But the asset class as a whole is not maturing. Even though XRP is getting more adoption through ODL, through a lot of different developers entering the space using NFT and all, it is good. But for the entire market, it is sentiment. The market sentiment does not actually give you that clarity of showing like, okay, we are going to do this. Because if, for example, dollar is going up, how high do you think it can go? 109, 108 is a possibility, but I would actually put 107. Okay, now put it like 108. That's going to be the massive point of reflection. If the market is going to reflect on saying like, okay, I'm moving out of dollar, I think dollar is going to drop, you're going to see the market rejected at this level, which is going to be a certain resistance. So at that time, keep in mind, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe 3, price is going to come back down. Now, for that, again, you will have to go on a weekly chart and look at your strength index. The strength index right now is at the bottom. Now, why is that important? Because it's a macro long-term trend which you broke to the downside, and that does not happen every now and then. Certainly, whenever you break the upside, you have seen this, right? You had this trend line, which was a resistance. You broke that. Then what happened? The price went nuts to the upside. So the dollar index went from 89 all the way up to 115, close to that. Now you broke to the downside. So something is changing. We talked about this dollar from a long period of time being here talking about that, and it is still playing out. Just the crypto world is saying, I'm so sensitive to all these FUD, I'm so sensitive to all these news. So people are scared because we have a ton of retail investors who do not actually follow the algorithms or set scale of rules for investments. We are, retail investors. Not everyone has the same size. Not everyone has the same time horizon. Not everyone has the same risk tolerance. So when the price volatility hit you, if you're new in the market, it's going to be hard. If you've already seen entire 2021, 2022, you're like, that's okay. And if you're like, I'm here from 2018, now this is nuts. You have seen worse. But the best part here is that the future looks bright. As an asset class, your trend line is to the upside. As an asset, even Bitcoin is trending to the upside. And I'm like, okay, this is a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low on a macro time frame. And if that's happening, I'm like, okay, that's great. Because you're still respecting, that needs to be actually said, still respecting this level of previous high, which is really bullish. So if you happen to hit this and go back up, that's like great. But you may need a lot more patience. So guys, if you receive value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you have another 5-10 minutes more, please do visit this channel of mine and listen to the videos. And if you like that, and if it actually helped you motivate yourself to kickstart your day, please do subscribe to that channel as well. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.